Namaste and good morning to all. Let's start our class with Vedic prayers. Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parbrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Bhu Bhuvaswaha, Tatsavitra Vareneyam, Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi, Diyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. अस्तो मा सद्गमया तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमया मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमया ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ओम शांति 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 ओम. So Narad Bhakti Sutra, verse number 74. So such a small scripture, it has only 84 verses. But the depth of devotion in this small scripture is so deep, so profound. That's why we are all enjoying it. So let's look at in verse number 74 and 75. He's telling us do not waste time in arguments. Vadaha na avlambeya. Vad means controversy or disputation. Na means not. Avlambeya, entered into. So vain disputation, arguments, discussions should not be entered into. So understanding the essential divinity in all masters, the devotee must not indulge in controversial discussions. Why? Because the nature of the truth, the absolute, Brahma, God, it can never be proved by any arguments. By arguments, neither an atheist can prove there is no God, nor can a sage prove that there is a God. Then how do we really know? We can know the presence of God only our inner experience. As we lift ourselves from the limited, from the temporary, from this little hideout of our intellect, when we disengage ourselves from the bondages, and these bondages are from the objects, from the emotions, from the thoughts, and we rise up, then we experience. Then we see that this God is everywhere. So it comes from the experience, not from the arguments. So experience of the truth, we should go after, not by the arguments. So we got to learn how to leave the arguments behind. Let us live the path. When we start living this path, it will become its own unquestionable proof. So that's what he's telling us over here. That tarka, vitarka, leave those alone. They cannot make you reach Godhood. The real knowledge, the truth, it comes from within. That's why it's called realized knowledge. First, we receive this theoretical knowledge from the teachers, from the scriptures, from the gurus. And in accordance with that, we practice the sadhana. And as a result of the sadhana, we enhance our surrender and attach our mind to God. And when we attach, the doubts, they start to roll away. That's why the gurus, they tell us always be careful not to get diverted in any unnecessary arguments. Because this is a very subtle defect. We sit in a class, we learn everything, and after a while, doubt arises. And when the doubt arises, what happens? Sadhana stops. And doubt becomes so powerful. So that's why Narada is telling us, be careful not to bring unnecessary doubt in the mind. Move from faith to faith. Move ahead. Do not move from doubt to doubt. Faith to faith. We got to understand how much we have understood the theory first. Have we understood few things? Are we utilizing them? Then we can understand more also. This way you move from understanding to understanding, not from doubt to doubt. This is a way of realization. See, arguments is ascending way to know something. Ascending way is you go from the bottom to up. That's ascending way. In the material world, we learn things ascending way. Just like a scientist, they move towards a certain frontier of the knowledge. And the next scientist will expand on that. That's why there's a scientific theories, they keep on changing. They keep on finding something more and more. So this way of knowledge is called ascending knowledge. But for the divine knowledge, we use descending knowledge. In other words, we get knowledge from authority. And authority is the Vedas, the Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, the Guru Vakya, Satguru Vakya, not just any teacher's Vakya. There's no scope for doubt then. No need for experimentation because source is perfect. When we have faith, we know it is perfect. It's almost like when we are cooking rice, you just check one grain of the rice, it's done, it's perfect. You don't have to check all of them. So we know that Vedas are manifested by God. The Ved Vakyas, they came from the mouth of God. So we need to do only the sadhana. We need a guru to reveal the knowledge of the Vedas. Surrender your intellect to Guru. Do not waste time in arguments. That's what Narada is saying. Now in next verse 75, Bahulya av kashtavat aniyat tavatcha. He says the vain disputations are to be given up. Why? Because there can be endless, diverse views, and all mere arguments become ultimately inconclusive only. Aniyat being inconclusive. Bahulya means there are so many. Chance for diverse views. So many. So that's why he says the sincere devotee should not argue, for a diversity of views can be admitted in every question. There is Advaita, Dvaita, Vishishta Advaita. All views have their own particular possibilities. Each can be proved conclusively, correctly by their champions. Okay, so these are different views, different philosophies. It's almost like the five blind people in a room with an elephant. Whichever part of the elephant they touch, for them, that is elephant. Somebody touches the tail of the elephant, they say elephant is like a snake. They touch the ear, elephant is like a fan. They are correct in their own way, but a limited way. So each is perfectly right according to his personal investigation, limited experience. But if like these blind people, none of the conclusion is correct. Because they could not see the whole. Once you see the whole, then it's a different thing. Then you don't even argue about it because you have seen it. The same way these days, the physicist says the world of matter is all the play of positive and the negative electric charges. And the biologist claims it is nothing but evolution. The astronomers and the astrologers, what do they say? They say it's a dance play of the planets. And according to the geologists, sun is the only essence here below. Because they say that portion of the sun fell down and it cooled down and became earth. So this is the nature of all the arguments. Each aspect is right, but the separate investigations, when we look at the whole from the experience, totality of the truth when we experience, only then we know it. So try to understand the Brahma by arguments is impossible. Because arguments are only at the intellectual level. Only when we transcend the intellect, the supreme reality can be comprehended as the higher state of consciousness. It's very hard to transcend the intellect. Because we know that our whole personality is controlled by it. It's disciplined by it. Very hard to let go of the intellect. So that's why a Bhagat must resist the temptation of this flesh. Fight down the fallacies of the mind. Learn how to soar above the persuasion of the intellect. Because by controlling this, by transcending this, what is happening? We are moving towards the center of our consciousness. And experience can happen only in the center of consciousness, not with the intellect. That's the only place it's possible. Reality is never confirmed by the arguments. Because what is argument if you look at it? Arguments are the product of our intellect. That's what the arguments are. It's not a conclusive in the realms beyond the phenomena. And spiritual experience is beyond the intellect. It is that by which all else is known. Intellect functions with the light of the consciousness. This consciousness is the one which is behind all the thoughts, behind all the experiences. That's why Lord Krishna said, all experiences arise from me. Mat samriti gyan pohanam cha, na tuam teshu te mai. These are Lord Krishna's words. I am always with you in every thought. So this great reality, Krishna, Lord Krishna, the Atma, the infinite, whatever we call him, myself, this Narada is telling us, have the experience of that. And in a way, he's warning us actually. Do not fall for the arguments. Arguments cannot prove it. Rational thinking cannot reach it because they are unending. They go on and on and on. They are called the dialectics. There is a father of dialectic, German philosopher. I'm sure you have heard his name, Hegel. Late 1700s, early 1800s, he lived. He will say that if there are two people walking along the stream, one is clean and other is dirty, who will go into the stream first? If you say dirty, he will say no, clean. Because dirty wants to stay dirty. And again, he will put a question. Two people going along the stream, he will go into the stream first. And if you say clean, he will say no. Clean is already clean. Why would he go? So that's how the arguments go. If you ever get a chance to read about his autobiography, he never got married. One lady proposed to him, and he started writing the pros and the cons of the marriage. What are the advantages? What are the disadvantages? 3 years went by. By the time that lady was already married. So that was the life story of a dialectic. So these arguments, either side, they can have no end to this. It's almost like two people, they were arguing. One said, God created this world. The other one said, no, he has not. Then they went to their guru. Guru said, what will you do with this answer? They said, nothing. We will keep doing what we are doing. So Guru said, there's no need to argue. Just to keep doing what you are doing. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your time. Now, next one, he says, Bhakti Shastrani Maniyani Tad Udbodh Karmani Karniyani. Bhakti Shastrani, treatise on devotion. So if we are not supposed to argue, what are we supposed to do? This is what we are supposed to do. Bhakti Shastrani Mananiyani should be reflected upon. Manan, vichar. Tad udbodh karmani karniyani. Their instructions must be practiced. So manan is vichar and karan is achar. So he says scriptures on the devotion, treatise on the devotion, Bhakti Shastra should be reflected upon. So instead of arguing, spend time into Swadhyay. So books on devotion should be reflected upon and their instructions should be pursued diligently. So whatever you study, reflect upon it. After reflecting upon it, walk upon it. So this is what as a Bhagat we need to do. So we are not speaking of the means of the devotion, but the fulfillment of devotion right now. A state of experience, a level of bhakti, which we need to attain. Treatise or the scriptures on bhakti are the Purans. Supreme love, total identification with God. So there are Upanishads also, there are Purans also. So according to the growth of the student, he will understand this sutra. Maybe initially Upanishads, you really cannot get everything out of Upanishad. They are very deep. But Purans, they are full of stories of God. Even yesterday in Bhagavad Puran, we were learning how those gopis, they are in love with Krishna. If we logically start to think about it, how can all the gopis, they are in love with Krishna? Aren't we all of us are in love with God? God can make many forms. God can love us back according to our own nature. We were thinking that why gopis are old and Krishna is only 7 or 8 years of age. How can they see the beloved in a little boy? But they could. This was the nature of their devotion. And we saw that. Long chapters in Bhagavad Gita. In the Purans, other Purans also, not just Bhagavad Puran alone, there are 18 Purans. Sufficient inspiration to live the path of devotion is in all of them. There is enchanting life histories of great devotees. When we read about Sudama, when we read about Dhruva, Prahlad, those are all the great devotees. When we think about them, we get inspired to become like that too. This is a path of devotion. So it has been indicated earlier also that bhakti is measured in terms of our identification with our beloved. The very essence of love is seeking our identity with the Lord. How? Through a selfless sacrifice for the beloved. That means anything I do, I want to do it for my beloved. Not for me, but makes him happy. How can I do something which God will do otherwise? So that I can be useful. So Bhakti textbooks explain our total identification with the infinite. And Narada is saying, read those, reflect upon those again and again. This is Maniyani. Because in order to go to this height, the student should read, like a daily reading is needed. Play of Krishna in Vrindavan. Upon those gopis. So in the spiritual vocabulary, to think over it again and again, to deepen our love, to broaden our embrace, heighten our passion, is Swadhyaya. Swadhyaya. Rishi Patanjali mentions that too. Swadhyaya is very important part of a devotee's or a practitioner's, a sadhak's life. But then manan, reflection upon the whatever we study, reflection. That is mananyani, reflection upon the truth in the declaration of the rishis. Manan. Because there are very significant suggestions there. And that's why the term Bhakti Shastrani, he says. That's what Lord Rishi Naradji is saying that. So, how to grow into the love supreme? Swadhyay and Manan. Carefully choose the scriptures. Diligently cultivate these qualities and sincerely practice them. So what he's telling us, Use your time to study, and the mental and intellectual level reflect upon them. That's how there will be a necessary physical transformation. And then there's a readjustment in our mental part of our personality with the vichar. And then what will happen? Our achar will be transformed. Okay, so swadhyay, vichar, and achar. Achar is like a conduct in our life. That is achar. How to talk? How are we behaving with others? Are we living just for ourselves, or are we helping others? So, contemplativeness of the mind changes the intellectual vision. That's how our spiritual depth increases. And that's how there is a sublimity in all our actions. We'll see. And we should not wait for some auspicious time to start this, or an auspicious occasion, or very favorable set of conditions. Time is now. In other words, the walk on this path, the time is now. There is no time like now and here to start this, because he's giving us very clear instructions over here. He's saying, get the knowledge, read the Bhakti scriptures, contemplate upon them, and then walk upon them. Okay. So now let's look at number 77. Sukh dukhe इच्छा लाभ आदि त्यक्ते काले प्रतीक्षे माने क्षणार्थम अपि व्यर्थम न नेयम. Sukh, dukha, pleasure and pain, ichha, desire, labh, profit, adi, etc. So a propitious time when pleasure, pain, desire, profit, etc. don't trouble you. Adi tyakte kale. So normally we think that when the proper time comes, then we'll walk on this path. He says, do not, when they don't trouble you, pratikshe mane, waiting for, pratiksha. Kshanartham api, even half a moment, vyartham, na niyam, should not be wasted. So waiting for a auspicious time when pleasure, pain, desire, profit, etc. are not troubling you, even half a second should not be wasted. So what I was telling you earlier, he's saying that start walking on this path now. Don't wait. So whatever he has been telling us about devotion, he has been teaching us throughout this great scripture, and especially the last sutra, he's urging us. The sutra number 76, he's urging us to diligently and determinedly pursue all activities. Make them sadhana. Make them sadhana. So because every moment of the sadhana can yield its reward. We cannot say that we are too old, I don't want to do it. No. Whatever we cultivate right now, whatever we learn it's going to help us, but to do it properly. So as a part of the sadhana, continuous vain arguments cannot take us anywhere. That's what he's telling us. And sometimes People think that no, this is not the time. Generally, people just wait. It's auspicious time, they say. Every time is auspicious, every moment is auspicious because it's created by God. God doesn't create anything inauspicious because otherwise we keep on wasting our life. We think there will be a set of conducive environment and we keep on imagining when that time comes, then we'll start it. So those are unproductive delays. Just make the firm decision, start working on this. So a totally convenient hour of our imagination may never come. It may never come. In fact, waiting for the auspicious time is actually sinking into tamsikta, inertia. Start now. Waste not even a second by waiting for that condition. So now is the Shubh Muhurat. Every moment is a Shubh. Strive hard cheerfully. Now is the hour. Because if we keep on waiting, that when there's no disturbance in my mind, when there's external and internally, I'm totally relaxed, it's impossible. It's not going to happen. So waste not even half a second for a time of peace and joy to start the pilgrimage on the Bhakti path. Because we got to increase our speed. Bhakti we all are doing. Otherwise, we wouldn't be studying something like this, a deep scripture on Bhakti. Whatever way we are doing it, whether it's reading a book or singing the bhajans or saying the chanting the mantras, doing the havans, we are doing it in our own way. But he's saying that make this goal rising above fast, because highest goal. See, first we have to have the highest goal in our mind. That's the aspiration should be. It's very important. People say, I want to get up in the morning, do my sadhana. Then they don't do it. What is holding them back? Vedas, they give us a very beautiful mantra, very powerful formula actually. You might know this, but let me say it again to you. So yat kamo bhavati, tat kartur bhavati. Yat kartur bhavati, tat karam kurute. Yat karam kurute, tat vinishpadyate. If you have strong aspiration for God realization, intense desire, then you will make a strong resolve. And when you make a strong resolve, you will put a determined effort. Kartur bhavati. And when you put in a determined effort, you will get that much of a result. And if your desire is feeble, it's not strong, what happens? The resolve will be feeble. And if the resolve is weak, effort will be faint. And when the effort is faint, result will be in concurrent to the effort. Okay, so we got to make sure that we know our goal, God realization. Then find the ways to do it. Don't delay. Right now is the time. So have the highest aspiration, make that goal. Making the goal is not a problem. We all want to realize God. We all want to rise above anger, lust, greed, etc. Of course. But now he's saying that make your goal so intense, so intense that do not waste even a moment. Because the biggest loss in life is that moment which you have not utilized remembering God. Okay? That's why they say Shwas Shwas me Om. Okay? So remembering God while doing everything else. We know how to do it actually. We can remember worldly people, worldly things, and keep on doing what we are doing. These rishis are telling us, remember God and do your worldly duties. That's all. Because if we waste a moment, it's not going to come back. That moment gone is gone. Every moment which is gone permanently. So all the saints, all the scriptures are telling us utilize every moment of human life. So first we have to realize it, the importance of human life. It's a golden opportunity we have gotten. We don't know, after so many different births, a different kind of a species, we have come as a human being. These are cycles of life. We don't know how many cycles, how many times we were dogs and the cats and the cockroaches, donkeys. We don't know where we've been, or even the trees. But now we are in a human form. This form gives us the opportunity to know God. That's why they say that only human backbone is straight. They say indication of rise up, go upward. We see other people dying. We think we are not going to die. We will. This body we will have to leave. There is a definite exit from this body. It is temporary, we are here. So utilize this human life. Start it right now. Because it can be snatched anytime. That's why they say only thing definite is death. Don't we all say that as sure as death? That's the only thing which is sure. So Narada is warning us. He's telling us utilize this human life for God realization. It's a warning to us actually. Sure, he has been suggesting, he has been giving us the examples, he has been teaching us, but right now towards the end of this book, he's warning us. Then he says in number 78, Ahimsa, Satya, Shauch, Deyasti, Kyadit, Charitrayani, Mari Paliniyani. Ahimsa, non-injury. Satya, truthfulness. Shauch, cleanliness. Daya, compassion. Stikyah adi, faith in the Lord, etc. Charitrayani, virtues of character. Mari palniyani should be cultivated. Palan karna. Paliniyani. Virtues like non-injury to others, truthfulness, cleanliness, compassion, faith in the Lord, etc., should be consistently cultivated. Okay, it's not only reading the scriptures alone. Just like I mentioned earlier, that sure, swadhyay, but then vichar, then achar. This is the achar, our conduct. Without right thinking, which is a vichar, right conduct, which is achar, is impossible. Because otherwise we really don't know what is right and what's wrong. Virtues of conduct can be cultivated only if intellect inquiry has been prepared for a sadhak. That's why right from the beginning of this life, our parents kept telling us, do not lie, do not steal, do not hurt. That is the right conduct. So by example also, and by directives also, they told us. We got to remember that. Character of an individual can be changed. If we think that no, I've been doing something wrong, we can change it. We can beautify our character, but only through a vichar, the right thinking. But on the other hand, when the right moral and ethical actions are not there, proper achar is not there, the thinking, the vichar will not have the high fidelity or a single pointedness or a subtlety in the vision. So that's why this Dev Rishi Naraji is again and again telling us, if the achar is bad, the sadhak will be cultivating very ruinous vasanas. And that's how the disintegration of the mind happens. The mind that is not integrated cannot have single pointed devotion. Purity of action, achar shuddhi, is unavoidable to any earnest spiritual student. It is a law that one can never unfold and develop spiritually if a person's conduct is bad. If somebody says, no, I just say those words, hurtful words or untrue words, but inside I'm pure, it's not possible. Even the sadhana is impossible for that kind of individual. They will not find ras in the sadhana because their wrong vasanas will take them towards the other places. So virtues of non-violence, compassion, faith in the Lord, and in the existence of higher truth, the righteous behavior, virtuous mind, it all needs to be cultivated. We got to pay attention to it. We cannot say it's only for the children or it was only when we were little. Our parents cultivated those qualities in us. Right now, we got to watch it too. Because whatever the mind and the intellect we have, it's going to go with us. And we want to take birth with a purer mind, the higher intellect. The virtues by living which the inner purity can be gained are declared by Naradji here in this sutra. Ahimsa, non-violence, is not a policy of non-killing only at the physical level. It really means that we should be ready to annihilate the vicious tendencies within us. Those vicious tendencies which are opposite of love for all, we need to let go. So it's like a lot of people, they say ahimsa is not killing, it is a non-injury. The proper translation, non-injury. An injury we can give with our, not just only with our hands or with a weapon or with a knife. We can give the injury with our tongue also. Don't they say that the wounds given by the weapon can be healed, but the wounds given by this tongue cannot be healed. So as a devotee, we need to keep this in our mind. No injury with our body, no injury with our tongue, no injury with our thoughts. That is a Bhagat's personality. Without this kind of a purity and love in the mind at all times, it's not only in the ashram or in the temple or in the morning, all the times. If you don't have it, there won't be any progress. There won't be any victory over the lower vicious tendencies. We need to conquer those vicious tendencies. We have to cultivate this love for all the time. We'll stop it here then, because I need to talk about Satyam also, Daya also. All of these will pick up next Tuesday. So now let's do the Shanti mantra and then we'll end this class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaye Purnameva Visheshyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you very much for coming, and now I will have a bhajan by Padmani.